In today's video, we're talking about the petrodollar and how the US dollar gained world reserve currency status and why that's coming to an end. Hey everyone, my name is Jeremy, and if you want to follow along my journey as I build wealth for my family, then subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you don't miss a thing, and remember, none of this is intended to be financial advice. I am merely a guy sitting in front of a computer talking to a camera. But let's get into it. Whenever I talk about world reserve currency and what do I really mean by that, I want to define it a little bit. And essentially what I mean by world reserve currency, and this is not, I'm sure, the official definition, but it basically in a nutshell means that the global economy of the world uses the US dollar for transactions between countries for different commodities. And the question then is, why is it the US dollar? Is it just because we're the best economy in the world? Not really. Is it because we're the most powerful country in the world? Probably more likely. But the issue is that it's going away. So let's look at something. All right, so this is a video, or I'm sorry, this is an article that talks about the death of the petrodollar. And so let's talk a little bit about basically what that means. It's no secret that one of the keys to America's economic dominance has long been oil. It was only a few years ago that America became a net exporter of oil, meaning that we have demonstrated a surplus. This was primarily due to the practice of hydraulic fracturing or fracking. However, this has also come with its own consequences. So this goes back to really the 1970s. And back in the 1970s, the United States and Saudi Arabia brokered a deal that would set a lasting precedent. Oil was always to be priced in US dollar. This is it right here. This one key decision made back in the 1970s has really been something that has bolstered the US economy in the world. And the reason for that is that oil always has to be transacted in US dollars. So whenever, for instance, we'll go to Russia. Russia needed to sell oil. They would have to convert it into US dollars. So for instance, let's say that France was going to buy oil from Russia. France would have to purchase US dollars. Then they would have to buy oil from Russia in US dollars, and then Russia would have to exchange those US dollars back to rubles. And so you can see there why that boosts up the US dollar is because everybody's got to transact in that dollar. And so every nation across the world wants to hold on or have some supply of US dollars in their reserves. And so what has happened now, just with our lovely president's decision with this whole conflict overseas, and you know the one I'm talking about, is Russia has essentially done made a couple of big moves. One is they have pegged the ruble to gold. If you look down here, they're basically saying, let me see if I can find it. It may not be on here. Russia's central bank announced in March that it will pay a fixed price of 5,000 rubles, $52 per gram of gold from March 28th to June 30th. So basically they have essentially put the ruble onto a gold standard, setting a price of ruble that will fluctuate based on what happens to the price of gold. So that is a key thing. They've essentially pegged their dollar now, essentially taking it off of a fiat currency to an actual asset-backed currency. Now, here's the second thing. Because the U.S. government has denied Russia access to basically the SWIFT system and the ability to transact across the globe using the dollar system, Russia had a choice to make, and what they basically said is they are no longer selling their oil in US dollars. They are selling it in rubles. And again, we go back to the fact that they've pegged the price of ruble to gold. So they're essentially saying that you've got to buy rubles, and rubles is going to be based on the price of gold. So if you want to buy their oil, then you're going to have to transact in their currency. So that is really a big ding on to the US dollar. So China has already inked a deal to transact with Russia using that their currency. So remember what we talked about back here with the petrodollar and this deal that the United States made with Saudi Arabia to broker basically all oil in US dollar. This article was in June of this year. It says that China extended record imports of low-priced Russian crude oil into June despite a lockdown-induced slackening in its total crude oil imports, squeezing out supplies from the Mideast and the West Africa. According to the tanker trackers, Russia remained China's top supplier for the second month in a row, surpassing Saudi Arabia. And so China is already now essentially cutting out their purchases of oil from Saudi Arabia and moving those purchases to low-cost oil from Russia. And again, we know that Saudi Arabia is transacting oil in the US dollar. If a significant amount of that is cut off because it's replaced by Russian oil, then again, the US dollar is going down a notch. And Russia's already working on inking deals with other nations to purchase oil from them. And again, they can't use US dollars for it. They have to use rubles. And the big danger is that, I say danger, it's really inevitable at this point, when the entire global economy decides that the US dollar is no longer going to be the reserve currency, and they're going to choose some other currency, whether it be a crypto or whatever it might be. But once the global economy declares the US dollar is dead, then you are going to see a rapid decline in the value of the US dollar. And it's going to happen quickly, like within days is my speculation, that you're going to have the US dollar collapse onto itself. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a man sitting in front of a computer talking to a camera. If you haven't already, go down and subscribe to the email list. In case for some reason this channel goes bye-bye, at least I'll have a way to contact you and let you know where I'm at moving forward. If you haven't seen this video, go check that one out. I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching.